Today on the Tommy Show, San Francisco weight star says that no one has to be healthy as they continue to push fat acceptance and fat pride. Democrats continue to push to abolish the Electoral College. Democrat Rosa DeLauro has a meltdown over in DC over Elon Musk. Pennsylvania woman is charged with trying to register dead people to vote. The White House to give $1 billion to conserve the Ecuadorian Amazon. California actually passes a Prop 36 and might actually crack down on the rapid crime. Dodge Charger EV can't even do a burnout as it gets more, well, it is viscerally roasted and burned online and social media. Porsche EV Cayman is stuck in what they call development hell, and Tesla to recall about 700,000 vehicles. All of that and much, much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase. Look at the video description to learn more, or go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more. Yes, it does, of course, come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the Dodge Charger EV quote-unquote muscle car, can't even do burnouts. So, as if people needed yet another reason not to purchase the product, it can't do burnouts, which I want to say approximately 99.999926% of all Dodge Chargers ever manufactured and sold have done at least one burnout. I'm pretty sure it's actually a requirement from the factory they do a burnout before customer delivery. I'm only slightly exaggerating, but just slightly. Now this comes to us thanks to Rowan, who is a writer at The Drive, which they say, quote, "Whoops, 2024 Dodge Charger Daytona EV can't do a burnout. Dodge's electrical muscle car isn't available with a line lock feature, so it can't rip its rear tires at a standstill, and we don't know whether one is coming." In addition to all the myriad of other ineptitudes of this forced EV quote-unquote muscle car, it can't do the one thing that, Dodge really was known for, making loud, fun muscle cars that would do burnouts pretty much majority of their driving. And yet, it can't do this one thing. But it will have a nice sound system that they brag about, so you can hear the Hemi that you wish you could have purchased new. I can't but think anyone who actually wants a Charger or a Challenger, they're going to buy the previous gas models, which, of course, can do burnouts, have great good old V8 Hemi engines, and even have the option of a stick shift, also known as a third pedal, also known as a manual transmission, also known as the best, and I would argue the only way to drive any true enthusiast vehicle. Now, diving into the article here a little bit more, they say that, quote, "Many of the pictures Dodge published to promote the now departed Challenger showed the big coupe surrounded by smoke of its own rear tires. Its replacement, the Charger, is available with electric and piston power. Straight six, twin turbo, not a Hemi." And they say, but the EV mysteriously lacks the ability to rip a big old burnout. The burnout that owed to the V8 mayhem and the rear-wheel drive mischief is inexorably linked to the muscle car. So when Dodge announced the, quote, "the world's first and only electric muscle car," enthusiasts assumed it would be capable of roasting the rear tires, which it should be able to. It has massive torque at 0 RPM. It's electric. The fact that they didn't program this, or I can't believe they forgot about this. I don't know who's leading the Dodge brand these days. Perhaps someone who is inebriated a majority of the time. I can't but think. But yeah, how do they miss this? They say that all-wheel drive isn't a deal breaker. Dodge assigned a motor to each axle, and dialing the ability to do a burnout would theoretically require locking the front wheels with a line lock and let the rear wheels spin freely in a glorious cloud of smoke. There's no line lock, however, and the EV can't do a burnout. In fact, Dodge Charger Daytona won't do a burnout no matter if we tried. The electric Charger stubbornly rejected our efforts to announce its arrival to the world via smoke signals. It's probably capable of doing it with a line lock feature, but inexplicably, that's the only toy Dodge failed to program in it. Which, if you want to see the real good one, let's scroll down and see the beauty of the previous generation Challenger. And, there's so much smoke behind that car, and that hood scoop is so large because that big old Hemi needs that good old air. it is a thing of beauty. It is also, kind of sad that dealerships want $100,000 plus for the last send off, which, debatably, some people will make some money on that. I see a lot of them for sale. Don't see a lot of them transacting as people try to treat these as investments. Not financial advice, but yeah, most cars have never actually beat the S&P 500. Perhaps the only exceptions being the Pontiac Judge GTO and the Ferrari GTO. And then, the pandemic had weird car pricing. But it's, in my opinion, kind of ridiculous. So many folks are, trying to turn these into investment vehicles, unmoderately intended. Now, they say, quote, and there's plans in Dodge pipeline to sooner or later add a line lock to charger. If so, it would require hardware changes, and engineers would be able to being a line lock via a over-the-air software. Both questions remained unanswered. Inside EVs reached out to Dodge for more details and didn't learn much. Is the charger currently available with line lock? Nope. Will it ever be? Who knows? Dodge did not comment on the second part. Yeah. And going to the comment section, yeah, it's mostly an agreement. So someone by the name of Source says, we at Dodge blame Carlos for this. Whether it's actually his fault or not, it's irrelevant at this point. That was the former CEO who previously, a couple weeks ago, did announce his departure from the company. Scrolling down more, you have Diesel saying, so it can only do 4-wheel drive burnouts at high speed. These are all going to be launched right into curbs, aren't they? Well, they might take that accolade from Mustangs. That did get 3 likes. Scrolling down more and more, Alaska Man. Interestingly enough, we've heard of Florida Man, but Alaska Man is making more and more waves in this, at least this publication says, quote, yuck, this is automotive version of Bud Light and how to destroy name and brand, being 2 likes, which, yeah, I mean, the previous CEO was the specific brand CEO of Dodge. He was very exciting, bombastic. He loved making these loud, obnoxiously fun V8 powered muscle cars. And he was very proud of the fact that they made the world's fastest production car, the last Challenger, getting 0-60 in 1.66 seconds. Yes, that's under ideal conditions. You're not going to do that going to the Walmart for groceries with public streets, of course. But, I mean, still a feat of marvel engineering that they can beat an EV for 0-60. Or even the Bugatti. Or like the craziest cars, they did at Dodge. Like, the last send-off is a beautiful feat of engineering. They really did it great and did it right. It's sad that they closed the chapter and decided to go with EVs and a straight 6 twin turbo. But we'll see what the future has. Again, there's a new CEO going to be joining the company. And who knows, with Trump in office, he says day one he's going to get rid of the EV mandates, aka the de facto bans we have in the United States. Because, again, they're not saying you can't make it, but they're saying, well, if your business does not hit these certain fuel economy averages for your fleet, or your tailpipe emissions for your fleet are certain XYZ, aka they're not, extraordinarily clean, well, we're going to give you a fine. Ford almost had to pay $1 billion fine because of those things. So it's one of those things where, yes, there is a de facto ban on gas engines. And again, there's also California trying to ban gas engines. The EPA just said that they could. We'll see what goes from a federal perspective in that regard. And again, California is the 10th largest market for automobiles on the planet. So again, there's a lot of demand, but there's also a lot of government regulation that's kneecapping gas engines. And it will be interesting to see what the future holds. I mean, obviously, I'm optimistic that good things happen, but I'm just to say I'm a little skeptical. But let me know your thoughts. I mean, it's not half the reason to buy a Charger to do a burnout, but it's like, I don't know, 20% of the reason people buy a Dodge. Like, it's a fun, stupid, fun thing to do, and you can't do like one of the top things you do. Next, they're going to say you can't drive in a straight line more than a foot, which, maybe they'll make it fit out. I mean, what is a muscle car good for? Loud, fun, burnouts, and going in a straight line fast as a bat out of hell. So hopefully they fix it. Well, do an engine swap with the Hemi, but let me know your thoughts are, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, the Porsche EV Cayman is quote-unquote stuck in development hell. Oh no, we might never get a Porsche EV sports car. Oh dear God. All 18 people in San Francisco will be sorely disappointed. Now, this comes to us thanks to Byron, who's a writer at The Drive. He says, quote, electric Porsche 718 Boxer and Cayman are stuck in development hell, report. And here you can see some of them right there. Now, diving into the article, they say, quote, Porsche said it will be unhappy with the new 718's battery design, and a delay could extend the lifespan of existing ICE models. Oh, darn it. We'll have to make more profitable vehicles that the shareholders and the consumers want. Oh, darn it. Again, the fact that Germany has become so weak and they acquiesce to the EU bullying them into making more EVs and killing the gas engines of the most beautiful thing I would argue Germany's ever done, Porsche. The fact that they're allowing that just shows how spineless Germany has become and how weak that they have become, in my opinion. And again, it used to be the entry level gateway to Porsche for sports cars was the Cayman. It costs like $40,000 less than the Porsche 911. And again, $72,000 starting price is still extraordinarily amount of money. I mean, I can't fathom that. It's a lot of money. I can't fathom. But it's like, yeah, it's still a lot cheaper than the $40,000 to $50,000 price delta between the entry level Porsche 911. And again, for track toys, people love the Caymans. EVs, yeah, they're trash to track right now. And I suspect they will be for the foreseeable future. Because again, most tracks, they don't actually have the fire suppression technology, nor the insurance policies for actually EVs on the tracks. Also, I mean, you might have 20 to 30 minutes between sessions or between, time on the track versus off. And yeah, you can get gasoline like 38 seconds pumping that into your car, but to charge it, yeah, you're going to need a comical amount of time. So that's why most tracks in North America, especially, you don't see those vehicles there. Now, diving into the substance of the article, again, this thanks to Brian Hurd over at The Drive, says, quote, Porsche's having a hard time translating the 718 Boxer and Cayman formula to electric platform. Yeah, increasing the weight and decreasing the fun. Who would have thought? A report from German Automotive News, sister publication. I'm definitely going to butcher this, not purposely though. Automobile Wiki board? It's close enough maybe. And if issues don't get worked out soon, Porsche may have to delay its introduction. Oh no. While the report offers little inland detail, issue stems from the 718 fundamentally defining characteristic its mid-mounted internal combustion engine. Replicating that spirit in an EV has forced Porsche engineers back to the drawing board on more than one occasion, and each trip return resulted in new specs being sent to the Porsche's battery supplier, Valmet Automotive. Valmet is apparently getting sick of redesigning the pack over and over for free and has started to invoice Porsche for additional development time. Porsche has been reluctant to fork over more cash, which, I mean, you're having to redesign this bastardization time and time again. I mean, usually this is the first or free. Those instances, like my IT company, when we're designing like a network architecture, a new storage design, or a new layout, even usually the design work you kind of build it into the cost, so you don't charge it. You usually don't charge that much extra because they'll make money on the software and the hardware, and the actual install. You don't actually just charge from the design. But if you're having to redo it time and time again, I can understand a business completely wanting to do that. Let's scroll down to one of the beautiful Caymans right there, which I wish it was nice and green, but you know me. I like the weird colors. Now, they say, quote, Porsche has remained as adamant about the 718 replacement would deviate from the typical mid-approach of a high EV performance in favor of a balanced experience befitting the mid-engine sports car character. But even a small battery pack is heavy and garbage. Oh, I added that second part. And it's like the engine in an ICE car, the battery pack in the EV is a significant contributor to the center of gravity. Any change made to it trickles down the rest of the platform. As the clock is ticking, the Porsche dealer portal revealed back in June that the internal combustion 718 Boxer and Cayman would cease production next October, paving the way to the electric models to debut late 2025 or early 2026. If Porsche is still working out the specs of major components, the timeline starts to look a little bit shaky. Continue saying, quote, while elongated development cycles and stretched budgets are never good news, the silver lining here is that Porsche is in the middle of reevaluating its EV launch cadence anyway. Kill it, kill it. Again, the audacity to get rid of the entry-level sports car, which you could still get with 3 pedals. I love that Porsche has that option of the manual transmission. It is so rare, and it is one of the best track toys, bar none. And they want to get rid of it for an EV. I mean, people buy Caymans left and right. It's one of the most profitable things in the Volkswagen Group's portfolio. If people don't realize this, like, again, I'm not a fan of the SUVs that Porsche makes, but the gas SUVs, they're highly profitable. They make more of those than the 911 in terms of quantity of units. It's one of the most biggest profitable things Volkswagen does. Again, the Volkswagen Group owns not just Porsche, but Lamborghini, Bugatti, Ducati, motorcycle company, as well as the Volkswagen brand that 3 people still buy Volkswagen specific brands. But yeah, the fact that they want to, well, not just they want to, but the European Union is forcing to make more EVs and kill their iconic cars I find that viscerally disgusting. If I was a shareholder of VW, I'd be irate, or a shareholder of Porsche, you could buy their stock specifically. But yeah, I'd be writing them angry letters, be like, why the hell are you killing your best product for something that will be much less profitable and by number of units sold, even lesser? Now, they continue saying, quote, production of the Cayenne EV is imminent. A 3-row EV SUV, jeez Louise, which Porsche used to make an SUV with a V8 and a stick shift. The Cayenne GTS, what was it, 2009? They didn't make a lot of them, but I mean, if you could find one, it's like a diamond in the rough. Like you see them once every couple of years on the the cars.com and stuff like that. And even with 120,000 miles, they're asking like 50, 60, 70 grand. Like that'd be really cool. And like window what do you call it? Window shopping or daydreaming every once in a while. I'll be like that'd be kind of cool to have. But I partially digress. They noted that the electric Cayenne EV SUV is slated to follow in 2027, but we've been hearing for months now that the ICE Cayenne will likely overlap the new electrified version, at least for a full model cycle, which will allow Porsche to justify more extensive updates for the ICE platform. The as yet unveiled K1, which that's what they're going to call it, the K1. How uninspiring is that? But nevertheless, was never meant to be offered on anything but a full-size electric SUV. But in the report, if the report is accurate, the company is now exploring the option of building a gas-powered variant. Yeah, they better. Because again, what Porsche enthusiasts want, on average, they want fun gasoline-powered vehicles. Which, yeah, let's look at the comments as well. That's what I like about the drive. They actually have the comment section. Usually the most interesting of most news, which is why my comment section is always open. I appreciate your feedback, even if it's harsh critique. That's how you improve. And it might take me a day or two, but I always try to, or three, depending on work. But I always try to get to them as soon as possible and respond to all of them. Now, according to this comment section, one of the first ones comes from Null Resurrection. And he says, quote, why can't Porsche keep electrifying their SUVs and sedans and make the Cayman Boxster twins hybrids like the 911? Oh, don't get me started on the hybrid 911. Do the twins really need a high cell and high volume to justify moving to a new EV platform that no one asked for? Getting 7 likes. Red Sailboat says, has Porsche asked the customer if they even want an electric Cayman? I'm pretty sure they don't care. The EU is bullying them and they're acquiescing pathetically. They got 7 likes. Eurospec says, Taycan forum on Red List is not a happy place. Depreciation, recalls, bad customer service, extended warranties, and I don't think many people are interested in the Porsche EV Round 2, which the Taycan was their EV sedan that I think was only famous for Bill Gates driving a couple years back. Like that was one celebrity that drove it. And I think I've seen 2 or 3 in Texas. Not very powerful. Not very. Oh, they're powerful in terms of it's an EV. It's got a lot of torque, but not very popular is what I meant to say. You also have city drivers saying, "What a waste of time. There can never be a mid-engine or rear-engine EV. Batteries and electric motors are going to get more powerful, smaller, and lighter. You could distribute the weight by moving components, get around whatever you want for balance. Leave the 911 and 718 ICE alone." Which, yep. Patrick says, spoiler alert, ain't happening with current battery technology. Also, potential correction, production of the EV, or Cayman EV is imminent. Pretty sure you meant to say the Macan, which is due in dealerships sooner. So, yeah, and again, small sample size of people in the comment section there, but again, some cars, I especially think many customers don't like the fact that they're trying to bastardize original cars, turning them into EVs. I suspect that's a component and a variable of why there's less acceptance, or people usually roast the newer iterations or the EVs they're taking over. Again, if Porsche wanted to make a new car from the ground up that was an EV and they kept the goodness of the the Cayman and the 911, I think there'd be a lot less pushback. A lot of companies are diversifying their fleet portfolio and having hybrids as well as gas engines as well as EVs. But yeah, I mean the EV adoption rate is decreasing, especially in North America. Hybrids are growing in popularity in North America, especially. I'm not a fan, but I understand some consumers want those. I don't think they're good at math in terms of what do you do with that battery that costs between $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to replace after a couple of years. But I partially digress. Hopefully, Porsche actually, maybe the right to representative or right to the Chancellor of Germany, be like, hey, maybe we don't acquiesce and bend over to the EU. I mean, hopefully, but let's just say I'm not too optimistic. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part podcast, you have San Francisco weight czar saying that no one has to be healthy. Which, yeah, true leftism. No one has to be good. No one has to be exceptional. Don't try, just live. Yeah. Now, this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness on X, which he says, quote, or he's a quote within a quote. He says, no one has to be healthy. Virgie Tovar, the weight czar for San Francisco Health Department, which, yeah, there's nothing more ironic or hilarious than when all these big governments and cities, they have people on the health department who clearly are they themselves in no way or shape or form healthy. Quite the antithesis, their shapes are not healthy at all. Now, she is actually sitting in a chair, and I'm surprised that chair is not reinforced heavily. The Praxis is a commercial for this chair company to show that it is an magnetic industrial strength. I'm only partially kidding, but she's wearing a rudimentary dress, And let's hear what she has to say.
Intersection, really, what is your definition of health?
Yeah, that's really complicated, right?
Is that intentional? The big gal is... Did she move there? Heaven forbid she actually has that cow ring too. Don't get me started on those.
Of health.
Yeah, that's really complicated, right? I think I want to I want to talk about that question, but I want to start by saying that, no one has to be healthy. Right? Like, I mean, it's like, there is no
Is he a beverage enthusiast? He's talking about tea? What is this guy?
to be healthy. No, right? Like, I mean, it's like, no, like there is no governing body that's like out there putting, you know what I mean? It's like no one owes anybody that in either the traditional sense of the word or any other more innovative or, more politicized, maybe even version of that word. So I think it's important to say like, and I want to back up and bring in intersectionality and say like, right, like look at the disabled community, right? Like I think people with disabilities have, and activists within that space have consistently been saying like, I'm never going to be your notion of healthy. That doesn't mean I don't get to be a full human. You get to treat me some kind of way, right? And so I think that I loved...
I'm sorry, I'm going to pause here for a second there. Unfortunately, it's not a great place to pause. You can see many of her chins in this still frame. But yeah, has she ever heard of the Paralympics? There are some really, really healthy people in wheelchairs. Their biceps are bigger than my thighs. I mean, you can still be healthy in that lifestyle, in that situation. You still exercise, you still eat right. How insulting is that of her to say that of them?
Taking that principle within disability rights to fat activism and to understandings of fatness. So I want to start there, right? Like no matter what size you are, you don't owe anybody else your health. But I mean, for me, right, like in an ideal world where, like in an ideal world, there wouldn't be health-based gatekeeping at all.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's a good mantra, or not a good mantra, but it's an accurate mantra of San Francisco. Lower the bar. Instead of, remember, Americans used to be the best you can be all you can be. Strive to do your best. She's just saying, just exist. Eat more cake. I mean, this is the gal who said, oh yeah, eating less cake is oppression. Asking for a smaller portion size at like a company event, that's not good. You shouldn't have to do that. You should just eat half the cake yourself. Ridiculous. And thankfully, she's getting roasted. Not just, for lack of fashion acumen, but yeah, this is, I feel bad for the people who still choose to live in San Francisco. Your tax dollars are paying for her. For this health expert, who, statistically speaking, because of her life choices, is going to perish sooner than others. Again, obesity-related health issues are the number one preventable way. I mean, it's almost unfathomable, or it merely boggles my mind so much. I can't really articulate my words more than usual, or worse than usual. But it literally is one of the top ways in which you can prevent an early death is to get healthy, to lose weight, to exercise, to eat right. And yet she's saying, "Oh yeah, don't worry about that. Just not be all you can be, just be." Now, this one pretty well got 2.4 million views and 14,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Paul Zupa saying, quote, "The mental gymnastics of this woman does rationalize her bad life choices are astonishing," getting 2.5 thousand likes. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, "WTF is a weight czar," getting 1.2 thousand likes. Amy Limbagos says, "I'm dying. Is she moving? Especially a feeding, expecting of feeding soon? What the F is going on?"
Of
I want to see.
Really, what is your definition of health?
Yeah. They got 185 likes. Rowdy Redstick says, quote, "California and San Francisco in particular is infested with communist, Marxist spies and activities whose sole purpose is to cause, discourage, and make a mockery of America," getting 156 likes. True. Yeah, can't but think, remember if you go on the Facebook, you'll see some of these old highlight reels of like high schools from like the 50s and 60s. It looks like a paramilitary group in comparison to modern public schools. I mean, back then, the boys were actually in shape. I forget the specific exercise where you have the wooden pegs and you climb up the pegboard. Like, they were jacked. And now, leftists have banned dodgeball because it discriminates against fast and slow big kids. And they got banned recess. You might fall, scrape a knee, heaven forbid. Ridiculous. William Rest says, quote, leftists have this annoying habit of injecting the, quote, right in their sentences. It's a verbal signal to listen for, on par with visual cues such as piercings, blue, green, purple hair, face masks, etc. It's almost clever. It replaces "do you understand?" expand is or is evolved from know what I'm saying. The right. It hints that you're supposed to agree without question. Gave 173 likes. Sarah Rose says, quote, shout out to the chair for not collapsing, getting 624 likes, which, and nothing beats when Lizzo went on some morning talk show. Everyone else had a standard office chair, while hers looked similar. She had industrial-sized wheels on the bottom, and the structural, like the legs of the chair were like reinforced perhaps for a car or a small truck. That was priceless. And perhaps a very good example of how some light online bullying actually helped her lose weight. And guess what? Lizzo got into shape. And guess what? She's going to live longer because of that. And people should give her accolades and shout outs for that. Anytime you improve yourself physically or mentally, we should celebrate it. It's ridiculous. One of the other lady singers who did that, all her fans turned against her for improving herself. Ridiculous. Perhaps just because misery likes misery. They all want them not to improve. But yeah, I'm a big fan of exercise daily, read daily, learn daily. Not necessarily have to pay to go to college or anything like that. That's a debate for another time. But shoot, just read something. I'm a big fan of paper books. I'm weird like that. Not just make sure I read daily, but I partially digress. Going back to the comment section, you have let's see, Little Pinchy saying, quote, leftism, we want universal health care. Also, we want gluttony, hedonism, and lack of all accountability. Yep. Got 256 likes. Also have Mr. Sandwich. Interestingly enough, the profile picture of a man, not a sandwich. Says, quote, WTF is the San Francisco Health Department weight czar overweight themselves? Stop being, I don't know if that's politically correct these days, but nevertheless, as he says it, quote unquote, stop being retarded. WTF are you doing? Getting 244 likes. Not seeing anyone agree with her yet. Brooklyn Patriot says California should be its own separate country, getting 176 likes, which, yeah, everyone says they're going to leave the country after the election year. I thought they were going to go to Canada, or the people over there. So pretty much everyone in agreement. And again, it's just when I think America can't lower the bar anymore, culturally speaking, we somehow outdo ourselves and lower it yet again. And again, there are some people with legitimate health issues that make it very, very difficult to lose weight. I'm never going to insult those folks. I always insult the people or critique them, all about framing. But again, if you're making those choices you're intentionally making choices that will shorten your lifespan by eating unhealthy and not exercising, you're hurting yourself. And I would argue you're doing a disrespect not just to yourself, but if you're in a relationship, your partner, your wife, your husband, and your children and your extended family, because again, you'll have more, statistically speaking, you'll just have more medical issues. And no, you do not need to be a millionaire to eat healthy. Geez Louise, even when I lived below the poverty line, a 2-pound bag of carrots at Walmart used to cost below $1.99. Unfortunately, now it's like $2.50 plus tax. But again, you can get cheap raw vegetables from the Walmart. You can get, John Soul's organic beef. Not a sponsor or anything. That's just one of my staples that I buy. Right, organic beef for pretty cheap. I think it's, relative to the value, it's cheap, especially compared to eating out. But again, you could get Walmart brand cheese. There are ways to eat on a budget that is also healthy. I hate the excuse of people saying, oh yeah, you can't afford to eat healthy. Heck, a healthy lunch. So many of the health issues are, people putting crap in their bodies that they don't need, trying to justify it with convenience, where, again, you're also spending way too much money on that. But yeah, that's one of my pet peeves. Let's just say I don't eat out unless I have a client with me and we're actually at a restaurant discussing business. I think it's one of the biggest wastes of money out there. It's usually not healthy for you, but I partially digress. Let me know your thoughts. Again, this is every couple of years we have the fat acceptance, full on push, and it seems to be growing, pun not really intended. Do you think people will push back against this ideology? And let me know your thoughts are. And do you see this anecdotally where you are in the United States or globally? Is this something where it's just isolated to the ineptitudes of California, or do you see this in Canada or wherever country you're listening from? As always, let me know in the comments. Because of course, it'll be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have California passing Proposition 36 might actually crack down on crime. A first in many years in California. Never forget, one of the most important things that's true is you get what you vote for. Well, years ago, people in California said, we're going to vote for Proposition 47 because of compassion, or so they argue. Well, that made it so that if you steal up to $950 worth of merchandise, it is no longer a felony, it is merely a misdemeanor. And the way in which the public justice system usually works is a volume business. Well, usually they don't want you to go to court, they want you to plea. Incentive to plea is to plead the charges down. So instead of starting from a felony and going down to plead to a misdemeanor, well, now starting a misdemeanor and going to sometimes nothing or nothing at all at the district attorneys, which may or not be propped up by someone who's historically in investing. Well, those folks, well, they just decide not to bring any charges altogether. So that's my concern is, well, they passed this prop, but I mean, will anything actually be prosecuted? That's another thing in it of itself. Now, they should give local law enforcement all the, the ammunition to take to the district attorneys for these things to, ideally, be prosecuted, but we'll see. Now, going to the good old Grok for this news. Pull it up really quick here. Now, they say, quote, and I asked them, what is California Prop 36? They say, quote, Proposition 36, also known as the Homeless, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act, was a ballot measure passed by voters in November 2024, and here are the key points. They say the purpose and provisions, Prop 36 aims to increase the penalties for certain theft and drug crimes, reversing some aspects of the Prop 47 for 2014, which reduced many to misdemeanors. It also would reclassify some misdemeanors as felonies, good, particularly for repeat offenders and theft and drug possession. It also introduces a category called treatment mandated felony, in which individuals could opt for drug treatment instead of prison for certain offenses, but failure to complete treatment would lead to imprisonment. It's kind of an interesting, good idea, I think. Actually, I'm having a little bit of trouble reading on that screen, so bear with me for a second. Appreciate your patience as it pulled up on this monitor here, or laptop. Second part is support and opposition, in which they say, fiscal impact, they say, I'll get into different results there. Oh, no, it is. Fiscal impact, they say the measure would increase the state criminal justice costs due to a higher prison population and increase the court cost. However, it would reduce funding that was previously allocated under Prop 47. Now, they say Prop 36 had a lot of opposition from Democrats, but fascinating enough, if you look at districts and you look at the counties, California is now mostly red, which I think is partially because of Trump's popularity and also the ineptitudes of leftists in California. Now, going to actually folks on the streets handling this, got this coming from End Wokeness, says, quote, a new era in California. Now that Prop 36 passed, police have started to arrest and jail all the shoplifters regardless of how much they stole, which, thank God. Now, the issue is, again, they're arresting them. Will they be prosecuted? That is my concern, because there are a lot of leftist judges and district attorneys out there who might just say, we're not going to take up this case. Even though the people clearly want these things to be prosecuted, will this plan actually be fulfilled in execution? That's my concern. I think, culturally speaking, it's great that they are pushing for law and order. It's a rare thing in California.
Operation Ugly Sweater.
The sweater stolen?
Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies in the Organized Retail Theft Unit are undercover this week.
We're watching two businesses
searching for shoplifters showing up in stores alongside paying shoppers buying gifts for the holidays.
After the passage of Prop 36, we now have the ability with two previous convictions, even if they're misdemeanor convictions, to be able to charge someone with a felony regardless of the dollar amount.
And this gentleman speaking right there is Andy Carter, who's a Sacramento co-sheriff office.
The dollar amount.
Before Prop 36 went into place Wednesday, suspects arrested for stealing merchandise under $950 only faced a misdemeanor. And it didn't matter how many previous tickets they had.
How dumb are these people in California, these thieves? So someone actually stole I'm sorry, this is just so stupid I had to stop the video. Someone stole jeans from a store, and all the tags are still on the jeans. So the size tag, as well as the tag of the manufacturer additional information, are still on the jeans. Which, jeez Louise.
Didn't matter how many previous tickets they had, they didn't spend any time in jail and could keep on shoplifting.
Suspects are very open about the fact that they know that theft in the state of California under $950 is a misdemeanor. They have no problem telling us, well, I didn't steal a felony amount. This is day 2 of Prop 36 going into effect.
Now, as deputies prepare for another day of stopping retail theft.
Some of them are starting to pick up on the fact that Prop 36 means they're actually going to physically go to jail, so they may try and run a little bit harder.
They have more ammunition to keep repeat offenders out of stores.
Definitely our officers are feeling more empowered. We're feeling like, we're not just, racking up another citation. Our officers feel like what they're doing matters and that they want to do the extra legwork to make sure that we get a good conviction.
Have you been arrested for theft before?
Please let me get a citation. Yes, I have. Please.
How many times?
A few times.
Because she's eligible for Prop 36 if you wanted to take her.
Instead of being released with just a ticket, more shoplifters are now headed off to jail. Operation.
And it is fascinating to see the exponential increase in theft in the United States compared to other countries. Let's just say in Saudi Arabia, there's no such thing as a repeat offender. Same with Dubai. Let's just say, instead of being caught red-handed, the second time they did it, they'd be caught with one hand because they wouldn't have the other. Now, of course, in the United States, we don't allow cruel and unusual punishment. That's why people in prison are not forced to watch The View. But this is a good step in the right direction. Now, a lot of people wonder, how big of an issue is retail theft? Well, pretty damn big, and it costs you and I a pretty penny when we do shop. So this is statistics according to Grok, the AI from X and Twitter, well, same thing. They say, quote, total retail theft, wow, retailers reported losses accounting to more than, not millions, 121 billion due to shoplifting incidents in 2024, which represents a 93% increase compared to before the pandemic. Jeez Louise. Now, I also saw specifically a 24% increase in shoplifting in the United States compared to year over year. Now, again, in terms of retail theft, some of it is shrinkage with employee theft, some of it is organized crime, and some of it is individual actors going to the stores and taking things off the shelf. But yeah, one of the reasons our products cost more and more is not just inflation. Yes, government robs us thanks to the ineptitude and corruption, I would argue, of Republicans and Democrats, but it's also because people are stealing and these companies have to, put that cost somewhere. And unfortunately, it's the law-abiding people who suffer. Now, thankfully, this went pretty viral. Got 2.6 million views and 95,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Paul Zazupa saying, quote, didn't think I'd ever see this in California, getting 743 likes, which, again, neither did I. I'm really impressed. If you watch the show, I critique California a lot. I really hope it does improve. It is one of the most beautiful places I've ever visited. That's also prior to San Francisco having copious amounts of, human death kits everywhere. But again, it is a beautiful place to visit. Well, I guess nowadays you need an army or bodyguards with you. But in all seriousness, if it wasn't for the cultural decay and the overregulation of business, pushing businesses and people away, it'd be a great place. And I hope, call me crazy, but someday I hope the culture shifts so much in California, it somehow becomes, livable for the folks who aren't Mark Zuckerberg, who can afford their own entourage of, millions of dollars of private security contractors. Now, I'm not sure how many years it'll take for that to happen or if they ever will truly change, but this is a great step in the right direction, culturally speaking. You also have Cash Lorenz saying, quote, but will the district attorneys prosecute, getting 419 likes, which, again, that is my concern. Again, we've seen similar instances where sometimes they'll pass the same law in Chicago. It's rare, but believe it or not, has happened from time to time. But then they choose not to enforce the law or they choose not to prosecute it. That's another interesting thing, culturally speaking. These people are voting for these judges. Some other people are getting them elected sometimes, but will they actually do their job? Will the district attorneys ever do that? Again, a lot of them are radical leftists. Not all, but again, that's another variable that needs to be taken into account. You also have Based Electrician saying, quote, I'm hoping we were able to fix this country, and it looks like this period as just an embarrassing moment of, what is this? I was hoping we were able to fix this country and look back at this period as just an embarrassment moment. Again, click that subscribe button. It may very well help with my speaking ineptitudes. I first started the show, basically no subscribers, all maybe family, and my speaking was terrible. I spoke even faster than I do now, and truth be told, stumbled over my words worse than Joe Biden trying to climb upstairs. However, as I slowly but surely gain subscribers, I've been speaking a little bit better. Yes, I do need to slow down, absolutely 110% agree, but every time I get a subscriber, I get a little bit better. Some might argue just a modicum of a little bit of improvement, but an improvement, statistically speaking, nevertheless. So you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it, and someday I'll get through the whole episode of speaking perfect. Someday. Now, other top comments comes from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, lock the stealing MFers up, getting 1.2 thousand likes. Yep, that'd be a good idea. You have Python the Oracle with a famous quote from Thomas Sowell, who says, quote, have we reached the ultimate stage of absurdity where some people are held responsible for things that happened before they were born, while other people are not held responsible for things they do themselves today. Getting 319 likes. The only downside is his glasses are not the sunglasses that you see, the pixelated based glasses. They're merely his regular reading glasses. So I'll give it a like because it is, as youth might say, based. You also have Liberty Pill Memes says, no, finally no more of this. And there's it's got to be photoshopped, but there's a street sign that says, notice, stolen goods must remain under $950. Getting 635 likes, which, yep. It's one of those things where, yeah, the criminals knew it and they radically incentivized their behavior to steal even more. You did have some funny and brilliant entrepreneurs in California, like one restaurant owner. He had an issue with people stealing knives and, utensils. So he set up a gift shop at the store, and he would have the gift shop so that you can buy silverware there for $951. So technically, if you stole one of those utensils, that's a $950, $51 knife. Now, again, that's brilliant because they should get in trouble, but with the district attorney actually prosecuted. That's a concerning thing. Scrolling down more and more, you have Mark, who blocks simps, says, quote, proposed border wall. It's, U.S. and Mexico. And he says, ideal border wall. And it's blocking off Mexico and California, which some Californians said they're going to build a wall. It got 543 likes. Brian Cowell says, quote, well, Gavin Newsom has been the worst governor in 100 years. California enforced more laws in the 1850s than they do now, and he's driving thousands of retail businesses to close their doors, mostly in poor communist, almost like an intentional, getting 133 likes, which, yeah, the business laws are so bad over there. There's so much bureaucracy. There's so much taxes. Even traditional technology companies have left California, and they are they have the major ones. Of course, they still have the headquarters of Google, the Facebook. They've got, what else they got there? The Google, the Facebook. Well, Instagram's the same thing these days. Netflix. What else? They got all the big ones there for the most part. But like the traditional cybersecurity companies and, manufacturers like, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, CrowdStrike, Oracle. Again, places that built that state, they're left their headquarters. They still have some operations there, but again, there's huge tax implications for headquarters. And that's, again, executives moving out of the state. And they're having less and less of people there. And Gavin Newsom is so bad. He drove out so many people. U-Haul ran out of trucks. First in their business history, because so many people were leaving California and no one's going there. No one needs a U-Haul to go there because no one goes there. 3 people do. I'm kidding. It's not, no one. But let me know one business that has moved to California in the past 48 months. I can name several, over 400 that have left in the past couple years. They're leaving in droves. And spoiler alert, they're going to red states that are very much business friendly, have low regulation and low taxes. Two of the most famous ones that California alienated so much with regulation and taxation were Toyota of North America, as well as Tesla. And now SpaceX. And now X Twitter. Again, I don't know who keeps voting for Gavin Newsom. It's not good for business, not good for culture. But I partially digress. Let's see, is there any contrarian statements? Thus far, no, but let's read 2 or 3 comments here. Scrolling down more and more. Hypothesis says, quote, the Trump effect is Trump standing in water. It says nothing can stop what's coming. It looks like a storm. Getting 80 likes. Let's see. Yeah, not too many contrarian statements. Liberty Pill Meme says, it's about time for some common sense. It says, let's lock up the thieves instead of jeans. There's a picture of the jeans that are locked up, getting 1.1 thousand likes. That's how bad California and San Francisco had become. The most comical, dark humor thing would be when CNN, which actually had good news for once, as a rare thing, should be probably mark that in history books. There's an interview, and I believe it's CNN at a CVS in San Francisco, where they talk about retail theft. And during the interview, someone came in the store with a garbage bag and a ski mask, and literally just took probably hundreds of dollars of products off the shelf into the garbage bag and walked out. No one stopped them. It's gotten so bad, they lock up even cereal and every frozen food. They have chains over the doors. They lock the cereal up, they lock the cologne up, they lock the booze up, they lock jeans and toothpaste up. I'm pretty sure they don't have to worry about locking the Bibles or workbooks, but, well, I don't know if they have those in California. Only kidding a little bit there. But their culture has decayed so much in California, they had to lock up cereal, jeans, and pretty much everything. That's how bad it's gotten. Now, again, a lot of people say, what's the famous quote from the Batman? The dawn is always darkest before the dusk, or something to that effect. And again, it's hard to think if California could possibly get any worse. Maybe it bottomed out in terms of cultural decay and chaos. So that maybe this is them starting to go in the right direction. I hope so. Again, it has beautiful nature over there. It's a great place to visit, and I don't know if it'll be a great place to move a business or start a business because of the regulation. Hopefully, maybe they change that in the future, but I'm pretty skeptical. But from a cultural perspective and like from the average consumer shopping and safety perspective, I think this is a great move in the right direction, and I hope the district attorneys will actually prosecute it. But let me know, do you think the district attorneys will actually prosecute it that now that these are being treated as more crimes? Let me know. And then would you ever move to California and live there or start a business there? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, your Democrats continue to try to abolish the Electoral College, and yet they always say, Republicans are a threat to democracy. Yes, the ultimate, what is it? There's a age-old saying about always accusing your enemy of what you yourself are doing, and I can't help but see that theme with radical leftists more and more. Again, it's not all Democrats, don't get me wrong. It's the extreme far left. My concern is that percentage of the Democrat Party has exponentially increased. Now, this comes to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, which she says, quote, Democrats are trying to abolish the Electoral College. These are the people who cause a threat to democracy. And they're on Fox News, which somehow is still in business. I'm pretty impressed. Despite losing most of their top talent, they are still in business. That was actually pretty impressive, Fox. I'm not sure how they do it. But again, they're somehow still around. In fact, they only have more mascots of an actual little cute fox. In this case, their logo is just, what is it? Boring polygons or some type of, what is it? Maybe it's supposed to be a light. I don't know what the kind of bastardization of logo that is, but not about bad marketing, but I partially digress.
Win on social media. He posted this picture of his signed Pennsylvania Electoral College ballot yesterday, writing, "Our big Pennsylvania win, so nice." And Trump didn't just win Pennsylvania. He won all 7 swing states and more than 300.
And Kamala just happened to, of all the states Kamala happened to win, they just all, oh no, what was it 13 of the 15? They just all happened to not require voter ID. Interesting coincidence, I'm sure. Just as a coincidence, of course.
Electoral votes, leading to a massive victory. And, of course, the popular vote. Now, just weeks later, a coalition of Democratic senators are looking to change our Constitution and abolish the Electoral College. Their proposed amendment reads in part, in an election, the person who gets the most votes should win. It's that...
And these charlatans are Senator Brian Schatz, Democrat from Hawaii, which is somehow still a state. You also have Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois, the crime capital of the planet. And also Senator Peter Welch, who's a Democrat from Vermont.
Simple. No one's vote should count more based on where they live. The Electoral College is outdated and it's undemocratic. It's time to end it. And Democratic New York Governor Kathy Hochul is already signaling her support.
Of course.
Unfairly less populated states have outsized influence, and in effect, the votes of their residents count more than the residents of a state like New York. Consider that a single elector in Wyoming, no offense to Wyoming, represents 200,000 residents, and in New York, an elector like you represent 700,000. It's time to amend the Constitution and relegate the institution of the Electoral College to the history books.
So this mentally vacuous, disgusting woman thinks she's smarter than the Founding Fathers. So spoiler alert, she's not. And spoiler alert, mob rule, not a good thing. Now, this didn't go as viral as I thought it should. Got about 65,000 views and 2.3 thousand likes. I think it's important, though, because it shows the movements within the Democrat Party pushing for more and more radical ideas that would kneecap our country. Also, I can't help but wonder, why would they want to abolish the Electoral College? Could it be because they opened the border and allowed 11 plus million illegals in the country past 36 months, give or take? Yeah, I'm sure that's a coincidence that, Biden as well as Kamala as well as Mayorkas, they just decided to let the border be nice and wide open and let them all go into swing states. Purely a coincidence, I'm sure. Now, going to the comments, one of the first comments is, well, I'm a little biased. I can't help but think person's handsome and brilliant. It's me. But all seriousness, hashtag the topping show, I'm responding to Based Electrician. Now, Based Electrician says, quote, if the Electoral College was abolished, Democrats would lose every presidential election for the foreseeable future. I don't believe that. He did get 4 likes. I responded, though, saying, quote, if we deport the 11 million illegals they imported, then I tend to agree with you, getting 2 likes. Well, 1. Democrat Media Tam says, we're not a threat to democracy, we're the threat to their corrupt bureaucracy. True, getting 18 likes. Nick Sorter says they can't win, so they insist on changing the rules, so pathetic. Getting 165 likes, which that's a cliche as old as time for leftists, though. They take their ball and go home when they do lose, or they want to change and cheat and, change the rules. Scrolling down more and more. Ryan Jacobson says, quote, democracy was the #1 issue for voters in the polls. It wasn't just most people were talking about the threat of authoritarian, it's just that most people weren't talking about the threat of authoritarian Democrat administration getting 1 like. Hugo Vale says, quote, Electoral College must be defended at all cost. It keeps the power from being overconcentrated in major cities. We need to ensure the power stays decentralized in all states and locations. Getting 17, so getting 18 likes. Yeah, also remember, there's no such thing as, it's one of those things where there's no such thing as red areas, or no, there's no such thing as a blue state, just blue cities. Purely coincidence, I'm sure. There's a disproportion of people suckling on the government's teat, as well as, getting government handouts. I'm sure it's a coincidence. Stats for as Turnout says, quote, defending the Electoral College, defending democracy. Under President Trump, we celebrated the wisdom of the founding fathers, including the Electoral College, which ensures that every state has their voice in our presidential elections. Trump's leadership is about protecting. Let me expand this really quick. Well, I'll read one of the paragraphs. Scrolling down more and more. Let's see here. His administration was a testament to respecting the constitutional framework that he made America the beacon of democracy. His win in 2016 was a clear demonstration of why the Electoral College matters. It prevents the tyranny of the majority and gives smaller states their say. Now the Democrats want to dismantle the system. They're the ones calling it a threat to democracy while they try to change the rules to suit their agenda. The irony is palpable. Their Electoral College is designed to balance the influence of densely populated areas with that of less populated regions, ensuring a fair representation. Trump understood this. His policies were for all Americans, not just those in the big cities. Contrast that with the current push, which seems to be like an attempt to centralize power in urban areas, disregarding rural America. Precisely. Going back to the main comment section, Jason says, quote, the Electoral College is what keeps America from being like Canada or Australia. Heaven forbid. It's the best system and the best way to stop a country from becoming a dictatorship. We are a constitutional republic, and these Democrats want to ruin America, getting 13 likes. Yeah, fact check, true. So again, they keep pushing for this. Again, it's you look at the numbers of how many people you need to actually sign off on this and approve this, and I don't think there's a high probability that this will be passed. But I'm still quite concerned that they're saying the quiet power out loud more and more, which is good. We now know what these 3 individuals, they stand for, because everyone pushing this forward. And we'll now know what Ms. Hochul says in New York. Yeah, we now know a little bit more about, what they want to do, and people, in theory, should wise up and not reelect them, but we'll see. But let's just say I'm a little concerned. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Democrat Rosa DeLauro has a meltdown over Elon. Or perhaps this is Edna from The Incredibles. Thanks to the internet, I now remember what she kind of looks like. Now this comes to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, where, it's kind of a giveaway that she's a radical leftist. She has purple hair, short, of course. I don't know who, like Elton John glasses. I don't know who's selling these glasses frames. There are attractive glasses frames, folks. I just don't know if leftists know they exist. And, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to make this larger on the screen. Oh, yeah. The glasses actually look small compared to some of Elton John's she might have larger, more awkward glasses than Elton John. That's saying something. And she has a scarf, even though she's indoors. She should be warm, but I partially digress. Let's hear what she has to say. Maybe she'll surprise us with, again, she's on C-SPAN. She's a representative. Maybe she'll surprise us with some eloquent bullet points and articulation of why she disagrees with some policies or why she's not happy with Elon. Probably not, but let's hear what she attempts to say.
Read on a bill.
And of course, she's a Democrat from Connecticut.
You know what? They got scared because President Musk told them, President Musk said, don't do it. Don't do it. Shut the government down.
Is this filled of crap that no one wants? Yeah, I think a lot of people appreciate that.
Imagine. What does he know about what people go through is when the government shuts down?
Absolutely nothing. Has your life ever had any differences when there's a government shutdown? It was hilarious. There's someone on the Facebook talking about how TSA workers might not get paid. The most inept, useless thing in the U.S. government might not get paid? Oh no, heaven forbid. Remember when third-party analysts tested the TSA? They failed to find, what was it, 69 of 73 weapons? Or no, yeah, 72 weapons actually. It was something like that. It's just shadow security, or theater security specifically. It's useless.
Are his employees furloughed? Hell no.
Well, he contributes to society with a private sector business.
Is he furloughed? No.
He's an entrepreneur, so no.
Shut the government down, people don't get paid.
Oh no.
And maybe if none of us got paid if the government shut down, some people on the other side of the aisle would feel differently.
Oh no, they're trying to give themselves a 40% pay raise, mind you, Republicans and Democrats with this bill. Yeah, I can't but think, yeah, if people in DC didn't get paid, yeah, I can't but think most Americans would say, oh yeah, that's fine. In fact, was it last Thursday or Friday? I did a poll on my on the YouTube, where I asked people, hey, they're trying to get 40% pay increase. What do you think should happen? Do you think they should get a pay decrease, stay the same, have a little increase, or more? Yeah, everyone voted for give them a pay decrease or give them a little bit, or keep the pay as is. No one wanted them to make more.
About where we're going in this effort. We had an agreement. But you know, this is not different from what we've experienced over the last year and a half or so. Think about it. Biden, McCarthy, deal, come together. Next day, walk away. Johnson, Schumer, deal. Next day, walk away. And now this deal, walk away from it. Who do we trust in this body?
Definitely not you.
Above all, can the American people trust us? Trust us with their lives when we had a moment.
She had about 15 pounds of metal in her hand, too. She has some comically large, ridiculous-looking rings.
When we came to agreement as Democrats and Republicans, and then we were able to say, let's move forward. This country, you know, one of my colleagues, I think it was Congressman Neal, who said...
Yeah, and thanks to Elon as well as Vivek and Doge, yeah, they started to highlight how much fat was in this bill. How much BS was in there that was not supposed to be. Again, it's supposed to be a continuing resolution, as in you just keep spending the amount you're currently spending. It wasn't supposed to be, again, it's supposed to just continue, which again isn't good, because if we continue working our government, or rather, in working government, exactly as we have, it won't make any dent in the deficit. Again, the U.S. government and us are now $36 trillion in debt because of the ineptitudes and or corruption of Democrats and Republicans. Again, this bill had massive spending in it. And when that started to trend on the Twitter, on the X, and people started to post specific parts of the bill, and they started wondering, oh wait, why they need 10 more billion here, 20 more billion here? What does it have to do with regular operations? Well, nothing. They want to put all their crap in there. I mean, that's why people were so against this. And this went pretty viral. It got 4.1 million views and 43,000 likes. And one of the first comments coming from Liberal Media TM saying, quote, why do they always look like this? And here's I guess there's a picture of her at another time, where she still has about 25 pounds of rings and with a metal bracelet on her wrist, which, sure, I have one thing in terms of like fashion, but it's utilitarian. It's also a multifunction tool. But I partially digress. I can't wonder if there's a conspiracy. Maybe the radical leftists are being, incentivized by big hair dye. They seem to all have blue, purple, or green hair, which green does look good on a car, but in terms of hair, no, it looks comical. And I got 7.5 thousand likes. Paul Zupa says she's a looker, getting 349 likes, which, no, not at all. Based Electrician says, quote, how did this guy escape the retirement home? It's just a screenshot of it, getting 3.7 thousand likes. Which again, who wears a scarf indoors? That's just ridiculous. Scarves in general are not fashionable either, I would argue. Well, Laughing Legend says, quote, have you all seen the clip of Representative Rosa DeLauro calling out Republicans because their version of the CR was to fund the government, including pay raises to themselves? Looks like she actually called out something good. I'm surprised.
Of course you reclaim your time. There are many changes between this bill and the Senate bill. Here is one that I believe the majority will not mention. They amend the Senate bill to give themselves a pay raise.
I'll be damned. We actually agree on something that the radical left, or only she, is bringing up. Because again, no one thinks DC deserves a pay grade bump. No one. mean, you're supposed to be a civil servant. You're not supposed to become a millionaire working in the government. That's just ridiculous. Got 222 likes. Valentina Gomez says, quote, this expired rainbow bully belongs in a nursing home and not in Congress, getting 2.9 thousand likes. Going down more and more. Wow, she's 81 years old. I mean, while I don't agree with mostly what she's saying, she actually does sound, well, she can actually articulate words which is more than I can do someday. So I guess I should give her a little credit for that. Going down more and more. Someone by the name of Alan says, we the people. It says, we the people have had enough, getting 858 likes. Caroline Okinski says, quote, what does Elon Musk know? He knows you government thieves are stealing taxpayer money and padding your own pockets. Eventually, through your boomerang bills designed to put sweet, sweet money into your greedy hands. While they're angry, they are being called out, getting 1.2 thousand likes. Which, yeah, here, oh geez, yeah. Here's someone actually did the statistics on, how much are we spending on interest, which again, interest is, as well, try to keep my really family friendly, but cover your ears if you have children listening, interest is a bitch. It can make or break a lot of deals. And in this case, the U.S. government, aka our tax dollars, we now pay more on the interest of our loan than we do on defense. Which people have joked about defense being overpriced. That's a debate for another time, perhaps. We do have the best military equipment and people, bar none, for the most part. But yeah, we now spend more on the interest of our loans than defense. So in 2016, we spent, again, this is on interest, $450 billion. In 2017, $457 billion. 2018, $522 billion. 2019, $573 billion. 2020, $523 billion. 2021, $563 billion. 2022, $718 billion. 2023, $879 billion. 2024, thus far, $1.09 trillion. Not paying down the principal, paying interest on federal debt. That's ridiculous, which again, we should not be expanding in these packages. I understand why. But yeah, they want to try to get their own stuff done, but yeah, ridiculous. Bernard Wakara says, meantime, and it's, I forget what movie this is it the Spider-Man? It's the meme in which, he says, you don't have to convince me. And it's Peter Parker saying, I support a government shutdown. And his friend, who becomes the Goblin, Harry, he says, quote, but government services will stop and officials will get paid. And Peter Parker says, I already support it. You have to sell it to me. Getting 725 likes. See here. Reno says there's no getting around it. And she says President Musk told him to shut down the government. And his Democrats shut down the government, getting 949 likes. Jennifer Jones says 196 Democrats voted against disaster relief and hurricane victims for farmers. Getting, I got 743 likes. That was a motion to suspend and pass. And again, that is part of the bill as well. So again, people on the right, again, Republicans do this as well. They put in what they want, and I hate it. I think it should be illegal for our government to do this, where they have these continuing resolutions and large omnibus packages in which everyone puts in the one thing that they can bring back to their district and say, hey, I know you hated 99% of this bill. I hate it too. It's bad. We should have, it's terrible. But we got this one thing. You gotta like me. I got that one thing. It's so BS. And again, part of politics is negotiating. I understand that. But they put all this crap into one single big package. Ridiculous. And they just all vote yes. They all acquiesce. It's not sustainable. We keep going more and more into debt. It's ridiculous. People should be irate that Republicans and Democrats keep doing this crap. We also have Andy Guitar. Interestingly enough, he does not have a picture of Guitar. Saying, quote, I got news for her. The American people do not trust you. Why is everyone in Congress a multimillionaire while working middle-class American citizens scrape through his or her life paying more and more taxes? God damn. I almost feel like, what was that? I never seen it, but I always see the clips, the Breaking Bad. He's like, God damn right. Pretty sure it's a quote from the series. But nevertheless, I got 101 likes. Again, they already get paid, what was it, $175,000 to be in D.C.? And somehow they're all multi-millionaires. Pelosi is worth $250 million. Yeah, she only gets 100. So how she, and apparently she's somehow a better investor than Warren Buffett. No, they just cheat and control the market. Let's see here. One more. Angry Trumper says, quote, look at the purple hair. The lady is certified crazy. She's losing it because people have finally had a platform to channel their concerns. We don't want to hear about co-president when we have 4 years. We didn't have a real president. Clearly someone pulling the string, getting 633 likes. And again, the beautiful thing about, X being a free social media platform, everyone is seeing the crap that's in the bill that they don't like. And they're seeing how this is, again, it's supposed to be a continuing resolution. I understand why even Republicans want to bolster the budget so that way Trump has to work at Capitol, get things done. I understand why. And I understand in certain instances you might need more budget. We got cut from somewhere. It's ridiculous. So perhaps the best metaphor, and again, this just makes me irate. This thing's 1,600 pages long. Not to talk smack about, well, actually, who cares? People in DC, yes, they might have the acumen to read. I don't think they're speed readers. I don't think none of them, I don't think, is actually going to read this whole thing. Here's a perfect picture. So again, I'm not sure this is, exact portrayal of 1,600 pieces of paper, but they have two piles of paper. It says, the one in the big pile says shit Democrats want, and the one on the right, which is very small, that says shit we need. Getting 2.1 thousand likes, and good metaphor for the current situation. And we'll see at the end of the day how, if anything, if we ever actually cut the budget, and decrease our spending. Actually, maybe we pay off the principal of our loans someday. Or maybe we just have to sell some useless asset we don't really use or utilize or benefit from, like Hawaii, and just call it even with the creditors. I'm only partially kidding. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have a woman charged for registering dead people to vote, which I'm shocked, absolutely shocked. I thought our elections were always safe and secure. This never happens, we're told. Oh, and then when it happens, fascinatingly enough, it's usually only one side of the political aisle that does it. Fascinating coincidence, I'm sure. Now this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness on X, when she says, quote, breaking, woman in Pennsylvania is charged for registering dead people and non-existent people to vote. She is employed by New Pennsylvania Project, and Oregon Democrats start in 2021. Who'd have thunk it? And this didn't go as far as I thought it should. Got about 3.2 million views, as well as 17,000 likes. Let's hear what he has to say over here.
And it works is she would use the app to go online and send in the information to the state to get somebody registered to vote. The state then requires certain pieces of information, one of which is your driver's license or your last 4 digits of your social security number. If they have those successfully, they can upload that information from the state databases, send it down to the county. The county, it's called a verified registration. The county, Jim's people then go and put your vote or your ward and precinct and all that information and actually issue you a card, a voter registration card. Some of them the state can't verify, and they send them down to our election office or whatever county it is. And those people then get contacted through what's called a HAVA letter. That's the Helping America Vote Act. Federal law was passed in 2002 after the 2000 election fiasco. That letter basically goes out to that person saying, we can't verify this information, can you give us more? Jim's people, and Jim is one of the people, and I think Crystal, who noticed that some of these that were coming in from Ms. Hill's app were the same variations of the same name. Again, this person who died in her house in 2011, she tried multiple times to register that individual, Mr. Reed, using either different spellings or different addresses or different email accounts. They noticed these clusters of these fake votes it's not fake votes, excuse me, fake registrations. And they immediately contacted Tanner and Doug, and we began an investigation. That has led to the charges today. Ms. Hill is being charged with, again, 4 counts of registering people, including her dead father and a person who died in the house she currently lives in 2011, that she was the one notified authorities that he was dead in that house. So she knowingly registered dead people or attempted to register dead people through the state system. She did register a fraudulent person, and my understanding is this is sort of a gap in the system where by putting in no date of birth and no social security number, is that right, Doug? It goes through and it became a verified voter registration.
What? I guess I'm most surprising part is she actually just being charged for something. Because now, going to the comment section, one of the first ones comes from Paul Zazupa saying, quote, but I thought our elections were secure, getting 101 likes, which, yeah. I mean, there's always fraud in every election. I think since the invention of elections, the real question is, statistically speaking, is it enough cheating to actually make a difference? So again, no matter who wins, there's always going to be, even though Trump won, I'm sure there's some cheating. I can't but think that they're probably in the 13 to 14 states that come out one that didn't require any voter ID, but I partially digress. Going down to the recap EDTM says, quote, since they couldn't replicate in time, the discrepancy of missing voters were highly noticeable. what happened to the 15 million votes in 2024 that were dubbed the most important election of our lives? Talking about how there's a delta between the different elections, 2020 to 2024. It says, every election will be stolen until we fix the problem. Paper ballots, no machines, ID, signature, verification, vote in person, proof of life, signature ID, absentee, and mail-in. Getting 182 likes. That can't be this person. Someone posted a picture of a man dressed as a woman, and I'm not sure this person whose the crime is alleged, but Brandon just says typical Democrat. They got 102 likes. Alec Lay says they cheated, but Pennsylvania was too big to rig, and they got 218 likes. Simon Unleashed says, did you catch that last part? By using the app, but not including the date of birth or social security number, it automatically gets added to the registered voters list. Yeah, that would be called a huge error or coincidence. Got 63 likes. Lady Patriot says, quote, will we ever get serious about voter fraud? No, as long as a state has Democratic governors. Getting 48 likes, which, yeah, again, in many states, like my great state of Texas, they do require voter ID. You have to show a valid ID to actually do it. In some states, particularly the ones that Kamala won, you don't have to. I don't think that's coincidence, but that's just me. We also have Bitfire saying, but we are sure there's no voter fraud, getting 285 likes, which, again, there's always going to be some. I mean, it's just inevitable, just a massive volume. Not just humans being evil, or some might debate inherently evil, depending on your philosophies, but, I mean, some folks, it's one of those things where there's also the human error. Where, again, there are some people, or there's some instances where people make honest mistakes that can result in voter fraud as well. It's not always malicious, although I would guess that it is a greater frequency of malicious versus ignorance in the cases of voter fraud. Now, scrolling down more and more, you have Sandra saying, quote, the last four letters in American are I can. The last four letters in Republican is I can. The last four letters in Democrats is rats. Getting 68 likes. Now, that being said, a lot of Republicans are useless, or I would argue, well, bad in terms of they're rhinos. They're not really Republicans. They're Republicans in name only, where they're just masquerading to get donations, dollars, and votes, where really their policies and their voting pattern themselves are Democratic or Democrat philosophy ideologies. So, yeah, don't get me started. Again, Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the White House this time around. They should be able to, one of my passions is the Second Amendment. They should be able to repeal the NFA, what's called the National Firearms Act of 1934, also known as the NFA Act. They should be able to repeal that. It's been almost 100 years requiring extra BS and money if you want to buy a short-barreled rifle, short-barreled shotgun, machine gun, destructive devices. You can buy those if your state permits it, but you have to pay a $200 tax stamp to the U.S. Treasury Department. Thank God that's the one-time inflation helped us. Because again, $200 in 1934 is about $4,800 now. So you have to pay a special tax. You have to have your photos taken, like your passport photo taken, as well as fingerprints taken, like you're treated like a criminal, as well as extra bureaucratic paperwork. So it could take between 4 to 9 months to get it as a trust, and a few weeks if you buy as an individual. Again, not legal advice, just telling you the methodology currently, as my understanding, which is one of those things where you shouldn't have to do all that to exercise your right. And you also pay sales tax on top of all of that, which is ridiculous and abhorrent, again, for your right. And yet, again, Republicans have the power. Will they do anything this time around? I hope they do, don't get me wrong. But because there's so many rhinos out there, I'm pretty skeptical if they'll ever actually repeal the NFA Act of 1934. Again, I hope they do. But yeah, I mean, just saying Republicans are all good, like she's implying, yeah, no, I don't think so. Going down more and more, Rob Coates says, lock her up, and it's Donald Trump tweeting saying, quote, if you vote illegally, you're going to jail, getting 84 likes. I'm Ken says, I'm not surprised. I'm anxious to see if Trump and the RNC will follow through on a promise and prosecute them, getting 62 likes. Maybe. But as I always say, time shall tell. And let me know, again, this particular incident appears pretty small in terms of quantifiable. Did it a couple of times, though again, it's so serious. I still believe it's a serious crime that should be prosecuted. You think will she successfully be prosecuted? She'll actually go to jail or have, any type of ramifications? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, the White House is going to give $1 billion to conserve Ecuadorian Amazon. Yeah, not help out homeless veterans, not help, the hurricane victims. They're going to give $1 billion to preserve nature across the globe for reasons. Now, this comes with thanks to Benny Johnson. Oh, I'm sorry. You have the White House press secretary on the screen. I know she's viscerally disgusting for many people, not just, physically, but also, in terms of soul and, telling the truth or lack thereof. Now, Benny Johnson, he actually tweeted this saying, quote, breaking, the White House just announced $1 billion towards conserving the Ecuadorian Amazon. Which, yeah, a friendly reminder, we are $36 trillion in debt because of the ineptitudes and or corruption of Democrats and Republicans. And yet we have $1 billion to spend on this. I believe my grandpa would call this a boondoggle or something to that effect, some silly funny word. Maybe she give us, you know what? Maybe she gives us a clear, concise, articulate reason of why it's very important for the taxpayers to do this. Maybe she will surprise us with her brilliance. I mean, probably not, but let's hear what she has to say.
Earlier this week, as you all saw, the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation announced a $1 billion financial initiative to support conservation of the Ecuadorian Amazon. This is a result of the president's recent trip to the Amazon and a continuation of the administration's effort to support innovative ways to address climate change through sustainable growth and development without burdening countries facing financial constraints. Earlier this week...
Okay. Financial constraints. We're $36 trillion in debt. We should have financial constraints. And yet, no. So he'll drive to the Amazon, but not, Americans who are hurt and suffering. He'll go over there, though. Jeez Louise. $1 billion. Now, I understand why don't get me wrong. I think the rainforest is awesome. I understand why some people want to be preserved. I think they should be. Probably done by, the people who have the most vested interest in it. Some people argue that there is medicinal reasons. There are a lot of medicines that are derived from things that they find in the Amazon. Well, one of the most profitable industries on the planet are the pharmaceutical companies. They get sponsor these types of things. They have billions. Like 40+% profit. It is astronomical how profitable they are. They might be a good contender or someone who would want to preserve that. They have a direct benefit of that. You also have the locals there. Maybe they want to preserve it. Maybe they find some way to actually make it work fiscally speaking, where it's not just a handout that we'll never see a dime back. One of the best examples of capitalism saving, ironically, some animals is hunting in Africa. Some species are on the verge of extinction. However, some entrepreneurs found, well, there are a lot of rich Americans who appreciate hunting. And some of these animals overpopulate eventually, and some of them, what's a nice way of putting this, because of their breeding patterns, sometimes you need to get rid of the older male ones in order to get the younger genes. So it's actually a profitable venture where you'll have Americans fly over to other countries and they'll go hunting. And like you have some tribes where they say one hunting experience can feed their tribe for a year. And again, sometimes those animals need to be, and not only will they feed them for a year because they get paid, but also the food from the animal. That is one of the most exceptional instances where capitalism saves the day. And that's a win-win-win. The environment's good because you get more healthy young animals out there. The species are growing and thriving, and everyone wins. It sounds unusual to kill. You have to kill an animal to save an animal, but it's working quite well. I mean, some people are willing to pay. To me, I'm too frugal. Like, geez Louise, a Porsche amount of money to go hunting in Africa, but again, it helps everyone out. That another great reason, or rather, an example rather, of you don't need the government's help. I've yet to find an instance in which the government helps and things get better. Let me know if you have a single example in the comments. But yeah, she's saying, oh yeah, we're going to spend $1 billion on Ecuadorian Amazon. Why should my tax dollars pay for that? I mean, I haven't taken vacation. I've not taken a vacation in 7+ years. We're working 105 hours a week. Why should my tax dollars pay for that? I don't think they should. But let's go in the comments. Perhaps I'm alone in this analysis, and everyone is saying, well, it reminds me of that old South Park episode with Jennifer Aniston actually voiced an actress in it, or a character in that, where they go visit the rainforest. It's one of my favorite episodes. And this thing goes about as I thought it showed rather. Got 337,000 views and 7.6 thousand likes, which, again, I guess this is just a drop in the bucket compared to how much the government pisses away our money in general, though I still think it's important. I mean, when Vivek and Elon go full steam ahead and Trump sees these types of expenditure line items are going to be, I feel, hopefully there's going to be a lot less of them. Now, going to the comments, one of the first ones comes from Paul Zuzupa saying, quote, 31 more days until we don't see this DEI hire doing press conferences getting 1,000 likes, which you'll still see her. She's going to go, presumably she'll get a job at CNN or MSNBC or maybe she'll go on The View. she's just as talented as intellectual as the other girls on The View. Now, Libercat Media TM has a picture of her with the sideshow, what was it, the sideshow Bob look. And she's saying, hold on, I'm not here to answer questions. I'm here because I'm a black lesbian. Getting 861 likes. Which, yeah. Lynn Meredith says, quote, no, getting 33 likes. D. Jane says FFS, which, thanks to the Urban Dictionary, I know that means for F's sake, which I'll try to keep it moderately family friendly. They got 36 likes. I also have the ADHD guy. I agree with that one. Got a little bit of that myself. He says, quote, when is American tax money going to be spent on Americans? Getting 1.6 thousand likes. Hopefully someday. Can't but notice our tax dollars seem to go to every country and other citizenship except our own. Remember when FEMA spent $640 million on illegals? I remember because they claimed that they couldn't help anymore after the hurricane because they spent that much on illegals. Like, oh yeah, we're out of our budget now. Lewis says WF getting 7 likes. Run Dumb Libs, very specific profile name, has a picture of Biden with a table of cash and then with no cash. The cash says Biden when other countries need help. The other picture of Biden with no cash at table says Biden when America needs help. Getting 734 likes. Billy Bob says 1 billion. And you have the White House Press Secretary dressed in a McDonald's uniform. Says, you want some likes with that? Getting 262 likes, which I would argue is very pejorative to McDonald's because those employees, many of them are actually hardworking Americans who, will do a job competently. I think it's insulting because she doesn't really do competent, but nevertheless. Scrolling down more and more, you have Jennifer saying, quote, WTF, what is wrong with these people? It's only the Republicans are MAGA, they're scolding with this debt. They have family and legacies that are affected by these choices too. It makes no sense. Really? Getting 74 likes. Come on, man. I just squint for a second. Is that Joe Biden? Come on, man. But no, it's not Biden's account. It's like, quote, conservation, does anyone believe it will happen? Everything you do is the money laundering. And I think 141 likes. Maria Isabella saying, quote, here's an effing idea. How about we put American disaster relief before donating $1 billion towards conserving the Ecuadorian Amazon? It says, this takes me back. This is a screenshot or a picture of Johnny Quest. Who is this friend, the Indian friend of Johnny Quest? He loses me at the moment. I forget his name. But it says Vivek and Elon's faces when they see how bad the government waste problem really is. Getting 522, let's make it 523 likes. Turn down more and more. Really, Isabel also says just more and more reason we need Doge. It's a comic book. It's the one where they talk about the dog bite. And the guy goes, does your dog bite? He says, no, but it can hurt you in other ways. The dog goes, we've cut your funding. The guy goes, oh, got 228 likes. So, again, I don't think anyone's surprised. Again, we're going to apparently give more billions to Ukraine for some reason. Again, we're not even their top 10 trading partner. Yet they've gotten about $200 billion from our taxpayers, not just in cash, but also, munitions and physical items as well. But let me know, do you think this type of wasteful spend, or do you think this is wasteful spending? Do you think this should be taken care of on a local level with their country or with business or nonprofit? Do you think it's the government's job to do this? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Tesla to recall about 700,000 vehicles, but thankfully it's just a software update. So, statistically speaking, I don't think it should be a recall, but with the current legal definitions, it is. Now, this comes to us thanks to the Associated Press, and some might find this picture viscerally disgusting. Not only me, but I'll throw this up in a second. But it's the Cybertruck, which, I mean, again, if I was a billionaire, I'd buy the Cybertruck just to do an engine swap for like a Toyota Tundra, or sorry, a Tacoma, because that's the only stick shift truck you can get these days. So put that powertrain in there, or maybe more accurately, just a little bit older Cummins engine with a stick shift. Just for fun, then you have a bulletproof truck I think would be cool with a stick shift because that's how it should be by default. But I partially digress. They say, quote, Tesla recalling almost 700,000 vehicles due to tire pressure monitoring system issue. There you can see the Cybertruck in all its gloriness or weirdness, depending on your thought pattern. Now, this is credited to Michelle Chapman, who's right over there, said, quote, Tesla is recalling almost 700,000 vehicles due to an issue with a warning light on the tire pressure monitoring system. According to a letter from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the recall includes certain 2024 Cybertrucks, 2017 to 2024, 25 Model 3, and 2020 to 2025 Model Y vehicles. The issue is that the tire pressure monitoring system warning light on the vehicles may not remain illuminated between driving cycles, failing to warn the driver of a low tire pressure. Driving with, let me clarify, this is funny because it's government speak or maybe someone is really dry humor, not dry humor, but dry personality. They say, quote, driving the improperly inflated tires can increase the risk of a crash, which, well, yeah, duh. They also know that Elon Musk-led automaker said it's providing a free software update to fix the issues. They continue to say, quote, I was going to say, it's funny to think of, tech company Tesla has to still send out paper mail. They say, quote, again, it's, government stuff. It's a recall. Owner notification letters are expected to be mailed February 15, 2025, or just watch this show since we're usually, 2 to 3 months ahead of when the letters go out, and tell your friends about this show. Now, they say Tesla customer service can be reached at 1-877-798-3752. Again, 1-877-798-3752 for additional information. Individuals may also call the government if you really hate your life and you can be on hold for a million hours. Or you really want to mess with a friend, you can call the government at 1-888. Again, it's 1-888-327-4236. Again, 1-888-327-4236. Now, they also know that, this should be pretty simple, we call it, the over-air software enablement. So we'll be able to fix all this. But, yeah, I don't think it should count as recall, but it's still not good because, again, depending on how long this takes in terms of software update and downloading, and again, your area in terms of your internet connectivity speed could take a little while and inconvenience to, so you can't drive it. I also can't think it's also a humanity business blunder in terms of, I think most people do a safety walk around with their vehicle with just quick glance, make sure all your tires are inflated. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, people already give Tesla, they already give a lot of critique, and having all these recalls certainly doesn't help with their reliability score, their perception. So, gotta say, Elon, having yet another recall of, again, 700,000 vehicles, gotta say, that's certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you can click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, if you give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment, it's a great way to give me a little bit of additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.